Hey! Merry Christmas to everybody and Happy New Year! If you have been around, you know that I love D&D, aka Dungeons and Dragons, aka the king of roleplay. Aside from my big thing of medieval fantasy, I love the Lord of the Rings and everything, there's another component into my D&D love, and that's thanks to a very big famous group of people, and you probably know them, and it's Critical Role. And if you know, this Christmas, this month, December, they have released their new TV show, animated show, the Mighty Nein, that is the second campaign of them. I was watching the show, I was enjoying it a lot. And I obviously finished it, but while I was watching it and waiting for the episodes to come out, I was like, dude, I would love to do some fan art for these people, because thanks to them, especially Matthew, I learned how to DM and how to play this game in a very wholesome way. I wanted to make some fan art, but not a normal fan art, because I always try to do things that are engaging and that make me learn something, So I said, alright, how about I take, the characters that already exist. I'm talking about the designs of the animated show. I really like those character designs. So how about I take those and first of all, I add more detail to those character designs, because they have low detail because it's an animated show, alright? They need to be low on detail. So, adding more detail, but also changing the class. And thinking about that, I thought, that's actually a very fun idea. So, let's go with it. I pick up 3 characters, those are Fjord, Jester, and Beau, and decided to make them a new class. So the first one that I did was Fjord, and here we have the first problem, alright, with this one. That is, what class do I give him? Have no idea. So I started to think about it, and I thought that the best way to do this would be to make a really different class, as contrary as possible as the already class of the character. I said that whole phrase wrong, you get the idea. Just trying to make the contrary of what he already is. So I was sitting and I started thinking. I said, alright, exactly what is Fjord? Because Fjord, I knew that he was a warlock, but I wanted to search for checking, and in fact he's warlock and paladin, which is kind of funny. I was thinking about that and I said, alright, I think the best class that I could transform Fjord would be maybe a rogue, but an assassin rogue. No magic, no big strong melee with front lane and everything. No. Like in the shadows, squishy, and silent. I wanted that, and I felt that that is the best class that I could do for an interesting character design. So I started to research for... Jesus Christ, the coffee is letting me dry. So I started to go for references, I entered to Pinterest and I started searching. First of all, I searched, the character design for Fjord, but then I went to search some stuff that I felt like I had to have and I had to know how it looks like, things that I was searching for. Pirates. Yes, pirates. Why? Because Fjord is a pirate. This is something, that I thought a lot, because in the animated show, you see Fjord and you cannot guess that he has a piratey background unless they show you the background, the the flashbacks, because in the character you don't see elements of pirate. So I wanted to have this piratey style on this character as much as I could. So I went and I searched for some pirate styles. Also, I searched for type of belts, because the pirates that I had, you know, they didn't have like these cool belts, and I felt like I wanted to have a cool, useful belt. That was like the main stuff here that I was searching for. Once I have all these references, obviously while I'm working, I go to Pinterest and I search references that I need at the moment. Now, here, the main focus was that, right? An assassin that goes in the shadows and everything. And I was thinking, and I said, you know, it would be really cool if he had like some poisonous thing, you know, like he coats his weapon into venom, you know, some type of serpent sea venom, you know, that is really lethal. You know, I like that idea. Also, another thing to note was that I didn't want to break that relationship that he has with this sea entity that he's tied up. So I wanted to make like a necklace, a really cool necklace, that it had like this eye thing going on. You know, because with Fjord, you have all these eye things. Then, with the belt, I wanted to add, you know, some daggers, some blades, and very important, I wanted to have like a place where he stores all the vials, where he stores the venom, you know? So I have like these leather ropes that go through some rings, and you have there the vials. After having all these ideas and everything, I did like this sketch, and as you can see, I'm really messy with the sketches that I do, because I like to be creative, I like to be free, I don't like to be really stiff and everything, you know, and going around mess up everything when you are designing something like that is something really cool. I made like this sketch with all the design and the thing that I want to do. I'm gonna show you, alright, the process step by step, really quickly, alright, to summarize, is like the sketch, alright, then the line art, which is not that much of a line art, it's more like a clean sketch. Then we have like the plain colors, you know, like the base colors. Then we have the shadows, the middle tones, the highlights, the bones light, and then I added some details. And this is how it turned out, you know, I put grainy paper texture with a little bit of painterly background, you know, that resembles like some type of paper that is old, and then a text that is kinda cool with the name. It's not the best way to present a character design, but I didn't want to put it like in a blank canvas, you know, like a white background, gray background or something like that. I wanted to do a little bit more. Something is something. I don't know. Anyways, here you have the final design of Fjord Assassin. So, after doing that, I was like, this character design is fucking cool. I love it. And I showed it to friends, and friends were like, oh my god, this is so cool. You know, I got really happy. So I went with a lot of passion, you know, to the next one, that is Jester. And I love Jester. So I wanted to do a really good one here, you know? So I had a little bit of pressure. So, first of all, what is Jester? Jester is a very kind, happy, eccentric tiefling, blue tiefling, alright? That is a cleric of the traveler. So having this information, I was like, alright, she is a cleric. So I was thinking, and I was like, Alright, what it is like the contrary to a cleric? A barbarian. This is actually a really cool idea, like imagine Jester as a barbarian. It's such a cool idea. So I was like, I have it, this is it, I'm not gonna think of anything else, I don't care. Let's go straight to work. So I went to Pinterest and I started searching for some references. This character I think is the one that I searched the most. First of all, I searched straight up for obviously the Jester character design for the show. Also, I searched for barbarians, alright? And here I have a problem. I knew that if I did Jester as a barbarian, I couldn't give her armor, because barbarians don't go with armor. I was there searching for barbarians and I found out a problem. All the barbarians that I found, they are like all animal pelts, you know, animal skin. That's a problem because I didn't want to make a Jester with, you know, animal pelts. Here you have that this type of a style doesn't work with the Jester, like she wouldn't wear this. So I had to go around that. So what I started searching for, alright, in the reference, first of all, type of medieval clothing that I liked, you know, and I felt like Jester would wear, and also a little bit of leather armor, you know, to have like this mix of good outfit with some kind of protection for combat, and I have to modify those dresses and those shirts and those pants and skirts, you know, to make them comfortable and cool for combat. Also, I searched references for lollipops, and also I think it's called ribbons. I think it's called like that. I hope it's called like that. I don't know. And another thing that I searched for, and very important, was the traveler sign. Very important. The same as Fjord. I didn't want to break that relation. She has a very tight lore with the traveler, so I don't want to erase that. I just want to add it, but with a different class. That's it. By the way, I wanted to stay with that type of short cloak with hoodie that she has, because I think it's such a cool, you know, thing to wear. So I didn't remove it, you know, and I added in. And here you have the result. The rendering, alright, the painting part is all the same, alright? It's the same as Fjord. And if you are more curious about this type of rendering, you can see my 2 last videos about character design, which I explain, you know, more in depth this type of painting, you know, that you have very clear, organized stages to paint. By the way, if you are liking the art and the video and everything, like and subscribe, because I'm doing this alone and it takes time and effort, and I'm doing it for free. So yeah, a little bit of support helps my soul. So yeah, thank you. Going back, what I can tell you here is that the main thing that I was searching for to make her look as a barbarian, aside from the clothing and everything, you know, is first of all having a big ass weapon. Alright, this is very important for a barbarian. Also, what indicates that she's a barbarian is make her big, you know, wide. And also, because of her character, I didn't want her to be scary or aggressive or intimidating. I wanted her to be like comfortable. And that's why, maybe some of you already have noticed, if you see the design of the show, you can see that she has like very thin face features, you know, thin lips, thin nose, thinner eyebrows than the ones that I made. Making that with this character wouldn't give that much of a kind vibe, you know? I can still make her look really kind, but I wanted to wide out the features. A wider nose, a wider lips, wider eyebrows to give her that feeling of comfort. Here we are entering, you know, more in depth in little things about character design, but whatever. So, here you have it. Jester as a barbarian. I think it came out really cool. I'm really proud of this one. I really like it. So, we go to bow. And this one I fucked up, alright? Like, it's not that bad. It's not like it's really bad, but it could have been better because my dumbass thought that I have to record the process for this one, you know, when I actually don't need to do that. And I think I'm not gonna use the footage of the process. And recording the process fucked up my illustration because when I paint and I draw, I need to stand up, I need to move, I need to look, you know, in different perspectives and everything, you know. And when I record, I feel like I have to stick to the screen and I have to do all in once, you know, and that fucks up my whole creative process. Beauregard Lionett, alright, the full name. She is a monk, human monk from the Cobalt Soul, that is like a library, a very prestigious library with secret tomes and stuff, you know? And she is a monk, because that library is full of monks. I was thinking, alright, Beau, what class is like contrary to monk, you know? A very upfront, kicking ass, badass front lane. And I was thinking about some options. The 3 options that were the best for me was Cleric, Bard, and Mage. Cleric or Bard would be like more contrary, but then I started thinking and I said, actually, the idea of making her a mage is really interesting, because she is in a place of books, you know, a library where you have deep knowledge and sacred knowledge. So having a mage working there is really fitting, way more fitting than a bard, you know? And here I got carried away by her lore. I really wanted to play with that idea of a Cobalt Soul monk not being a monk but being a mage, you know, with all the books and everything. Here I was like, oh my god, yeah, I love that. And I also, personally, I think Beau is so cool. I love her. It's amazing. I was so excited to make this character, but because it was the last one that I wanted to make and I already did the others without recording, I said I have to record this. And I was already sad because I knew I would fuck up the process design. I started trying to record the sketch. I'm not joking, I spent like a full hour trying to start, alright? I couldn't bring myself to do it. I was literally unable to start the fucking sketch while recording. So I said, you know, fuck it. I'm not gonna record this part of the process. This is what it is, alright? Fuck it, I'm just gonna design a little bit the base of the character, and then when I have the base, let's go with the recording and everything. Here you have the sketch, the messy sketch that I like to do. But this one, I didn't like it that much because I was already a little bit burned out because I tried to record it and I failed. That made me feel like shit. And I also knew that I had to record the rest of the process. I made a more simplistic, not that intentional design, but I still like it. Now, once I had that, obviously before doing this I researched references, you know, about mages and type of clothing and yada yada. The only thing that I didn't search reference for, and I should have, books, alright? Because the book that I did is fucking horrible, alright? It's really boring. I don't like the design. Anyways, I started painting, you know, putting the base colors, and here is when I started recording. Here is when everything went south. For starters, the color palette. I think I could have done a more playful thing with colors, a more interesting thing, tell something more, you know, with colors, like I did with Fjord and Jester. I haven't done like design. There's no design work in the colors here. Then I started to make the shadows, plain shadows, without thinking about the planes. Then I started making the middle tones. I wasn't indicating form with middle tones. I was just putting some strokes without thinking that much, because I wanted to end this thing, because I was recording and I was feeling fucking miserable. I started making the lights, you know. Here I was really scared with the lights because everything was so soft and so inconsistent that I wasn't putting like very defined light. Then the bones light, very weak bones light. And the details, I did what I could, you know, adding some effects to the book, to the necklace, to the gem in the staff. The only thing that I can say is that I kinda like the idea and the posture and the expression of Bow. I really like that. I also like the gem in the staff. But aside from that, I think everything is boring and plain here, and I could have done something way better and way interesting, which makes me really sad because it doesn't make justice, you know, to the Bow character. I tried, you know, sometimes it's like this in drawing and painting. Sometimes you do things that are cool, and sometimes you do things that you are not that much happy. Who knows, maybe in the future I go back, you know, and I see this and I say, hey, this is actually not that bad. Because it happened to me. Sometimes I go to old works and I say, yo, that's actually pretty good for that time. By the way, if you like these character designs or these other character designs, and you really like the style and everything, and you know, and my painting style, and you would like to have some character design of your own, you know, for your D&D campaign or for some character that you have, I'm finally opening commissions. Here you have the papers and everything, you know. Also, if you want to be more sure or ask for anything, you know, you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter. You can DM me and ask me for any questions that you have, you know, and yeah, I think that's everything. I hope you like the video, you like the art, and have very good Christmas and very happy holidays. Bye!